Hi everyone and welcome to Curly and Yarny. My name is Milena and in today's video I am offering you a grand tour of this loom. So buckle up and let's get started. So this video has been in the making for quite some time. Somebody requested this video about a year ago. I started working on it, but then I had some technical issues of various matters, so the finishing of the video was postponed, but today I am happy to present it to you and I hope this will answer many of your questions. So through the clip that I will present to you during the video, you will see many different outfits, but you will at the same time see the passing of the seasons. So this is kind of a recap of last year, so let's go and watch this. While making this video, I actually made a huge discovery about this loom. So this is not the loom I thought I had. So for such a long time, I was sure that I had a dirty loom, but it turns out it is actually a meco loom. And here's how I discovered this. When I started to do the editing of this video, I wanted to date the loom, so to have an approximative idea of when this loom was built. In order to do that, I went on CAMILLA's Voluform website. So on their website, they have done a fabulous job of recording and keeping track of all Leclerc loom history. So if ever you own a Leclerc loom and you have question about its state, this is for me the best website to start your research in. So they have this loom history, and they also have a place where they record the different logos. I think this page is mostly made according to a fanny loom, but the logos, they kind of like followed for all the looms, so I like to refer to it even though this is not a fanny loom. So with the help of this website, first of all, I noticed the tag here, and according to the website, the tag means that this loom must have been made somewhere in the 70s. So after I had an idea of what date this loom was built, I decided to go read a little bit more about Leclerc's loom history, and I was very surprised to notice that underneath the dirty section, it says that it was never built to be 22 inches wide. And then I thought, that's very weird. Either I can count and my loom is actually 24 inches wide, or maybe I'm wrong, maybe I don't have a dirty loom. And so I kept scrolling, and then I found the meco loom, and this one was made to be 22 inches wide. And so I say was because this loom is no longer produced. It had been replaced by the dirty loom. And so I was a little bit shocked, and so I kept reading, and I realized that the dirty loom doesn't have a cover on top of this piece here. I think it's called a castle, as opposed to the meco loom that has one. And so this is what really told me, I think I've been wrong all of this time. I actually have a meco loom. At first I was really shocked and flabbergasted. I mean, I was living in a lie for so long. But then at the end of the day, I just thought, does this really change anything? Does this really change anything to my weaving? And the answer is not at all. The two looms are so similar and I can still weave beautiful things on it. But now I will stop saying lies, and I will stop calling this loom the dirty loom. So now let me give you a more general idea of this loom. My meco loom, it feels very weird to say that, but my meco loom is actually a table loom that had been transformed into a floor loom. So there were some add-on treadles that have been added to the loom. So my loom is 22 inches wide, but when I say this, I'm really only talking about the weaving width of the loom. So actually the loom is a little bit wider than that, so I tried to count from the end of the stand here until the end of the biggest handle on the side, and it would be close to 30 inches wide. This is a used loom, so I bought it from somebody. I don't know if they were the only owner of this loom or if they also had it used before. So I'm either the second or the 10th owner of this loom, who knows. Also, this loom came with some metal handles, and it is quite noisy. So I had been looking for the option of changing them for Tesla handles, and for that I asked people on Instagram if they had any experience with this. saying this. If you are on Instagram and you don't follow my account, please do it. Here's what you need to look for to find me. And so when I asked people about this, some people told me that they had the experience of changing their heddles onto a dirty loom or a table loom by Leclerc like this one, and they regretted it. So the shed created after putting those test love was so small that it was becoming very hard to weave, and they would actually want to turn back to the metal heddles. So I've decided to keep the noisy loom and actually keep those metal heddles there. So I have 4 shafts on my loom, and I have seen that it is possible to add this frame a few times in order to add the number of shafts. And it's also possible to have this loom with 8 shafts, and I believe it's also possible to have them in 12 shafts. However, I have never seen it, and I believe that if it was the case, it would probably be a bit packed at the back of the loom, but I heard it's possible. So here, this is what it really looks like when we are facing the loom. So at the top we have the little sticker telling us who made them, and with the design, this is how we can figure out approximately the year it was built. On the top we have this, so this is the box that holds the shafts. On the top of the box we have this wooden panel that I can take off. And then here we have the 4 shafts. So here we have the beater, and inside of the beater I have the reed. So the way to change it would simply be to unscrew the 2 little screws here. Then I can lift it up, and then I can change the reed. Since I have the little knobs here for the screws, there's also some padding made to the loom right here to prevent it from damaging the loom. But if we look closely to my loom, it has some age, so we can see here also that it wasn't always sufficient, and there's been some wood damage, but it can still weave perfectly. But this is some of the wear and tear of a loom that has been looming a lot. My project is traveling around a little bit the front bar, and it's getting rolled onto the front beam. Now I have a project on. I will show you once the project is done, but for the front it's only a bar. I have like 1 metal bar, and I can attach it to this bar when I start the project. And now we are at the middle of the loom, so we are under the shafts, and I wanted to show you a little something that's there. So on both sides, on right and left, I have this little thing here that is kind of a bumper that helps with the shocks of the shafts falling down. So when I leave the shaft falling down, it helps reduce the noise and also protect the loom. I have bought some new ones to replace them. I just haven't put them in place yet, because the one I have there, I think they were original to the loom, so they date back in the something like in the 70s, so they are pretty dried out. I'm not sure how much they are still doing their job, so they're gonna get some replacement. So here we are on the right side of the loom, so this is where pretty much everything happens. So the first thing we notice is this little handle here. So this is used to turn the front beam, and by turning the front beam, the project just rolls onto the beam. This handle for my loom is very metally, but I believe there are some handles that has some extra layer of wood or something to make it a bit more comfortable, but I don't use it that much, so it doesn't matter. It's just that sometimes we have to be careful because we don't always see it sticking out, and it can hurt on the thighs if we move too closely to the loom. We also have here at the beginning of the brake system. So this is like a little handle that I just pull like this, and this release the tension, and then I can turn the handle here to advance the warp. And now since I've started talking about the brake, I am going to keep on talking about it. So as we saw, I have the little handle here, and it is connected to the back of the loom with this metal wire, and this metal wire runs throughout the right side of the loom, so it also runs here. So the wire comes all the way here, and then it becomes a little spring. Then it is attached to another wire, and this other wire gets turned around this metal ring here, and this is how the brakes work. To be completely honest, I cannot claim that I fully understand how this system works. I'm not a scientist, and even less someone who works in physics. I just works, and let's cross fingers it never breaks, because I don't know exactly how I would repair it. But I think it's simple. It's just I cannot wrap my head around exactly how it is working. Also, I have a little handle here that is similarly to the one at the front. So this handle is used to turn the back beam when I am warping my loom. So on the side of the loom we have 4 handles, so one for each shaft. If we were to use the loom as a table loom, we could pull on them and then weave our pick. I believe there is a mechanism that should hold them in place when we do this, but since mine has been transformed into a floor loom, I feel like maybe this mechanism is not there anymore. So I don't know much about what the mechanism it is exactly for this loom, and since I don't really plan on using it as a table loom, I don't mind. So now welcome to the back of the loom. And so here again we have the box here, and we can see the shafts where they are. So we're gonna just go down a little bit. So as with the front, we have this bar here on which the threads just go around it, and then they get rolled onto the back beam. Especially for my loom, also in through the years, some owners have decided added a sectional beam. If you followed my videos for a while, you know that I have a love-hate relationship with this section beam right there, so I still need to learn to love it. Is now naked, so there's nothing on it. Actually, I had just finished weaving this project, so the deep sea blue scarf. So this project, just like this video here, has been in the making for so long, and now that it's finished, there's actually a whole video about this that will be coming up very soon, probably in a few weeks. And this one I think will be kind of a funny video, so it will become the 1-year scarf, but I'm not telling you any more stuff about this. So I've showed you pretty much everything about the loom and about the table section of the loom. So now I just want to quickly show you what the add-ons look like. So what has been added to my loom to transform it to be a floor loom. So it's very simple. It's actually a frame that is kind of a T-shaped frame. So we have that on both sides. They've also added another pieces of wood here to keep everything more stable. At the bottom we have again a frame, and we have the treadle, so it comes with 6 treadle. It's a bit hard to film under the loom and to film those parts, but here we have the treadles, and they are all attached to those little rods here. So those also work a little bit like a normal floor loom. So I have those little loops of metal everywhere where I can decide to attach each treadle to either of my shaft. So now I'm going to show you where it gets interesting, so where everything gets connected. And this is happening right here. So the wooden part are attached with a cord, and this cord is attached to the handles of my table loom. So if I pull on this treadle, we can see those 2 wooden sticks are going down, and then with the rods, so this is quite a good angle, so we just need to look at different things at the same time. So I'm pushing on the treadle, so those sticks are going down. By going down, they pull on the string. Those strings are attached to the handle up here. Yeah, up here, and as the handles are attached to the shaft, my shafts are being hired, and we can see them here being hired as well. So this is how this is all functioning. So in order to finish this video, I wanted to take a few minutes to answer a question that I have been asked a lot, and this question is, what is the best table loom? And I'm going to say right away, I don't have the perfect answer, and one of the reasons for this is that I didn't have the chance to weave on many table looms, so I only had the chance to weave on table looms made by Leclerc. Talking about Leclerc table looms, I actually had the chance to weave on this Meko loom, but also on a Voyageur loom. Then at the beginning of 2020, I was lent this loom, this Voyageur loom. I was supposed to keep it for a few months, maybe 2 months tops, but then the pandemic hit, and then we couldn't go outside of the house nor see anyone, so I got to keep it a little bit longer. So in total, I made two projects on it, and for the second one, I was a bit curious to see if it would be possible to direct warp a table loom the same way that I would direct warp my rigid head loom, and I decided to document this test and to make a YouTube video about it. And this was on my very early stages on YouTube, so this is, I think, my fourth video, and I thought I put it there. It's like a test, and if it can help someone, well, so be it, but I don't think anyone would ever want to watch this video, but I mean, at least it's out there. And it turned out that it's still today one of my mostly watched videos, so I'm guessing other people were curious about the same thing as I was. But to come back to the loom, after a few months, the rules got looser, and so I could give it back, and I genuinely thought that I would actually borrow it. Borrowing is a very hard word to say for a Frenchie, so I genuinely thought that I would borrow it again, but then eventually I got this loom, and then I got my counterbalance loom, and that was just like, I had a lot on my hands, so I decided to keep it at those 3 looms, and I never had the chance to touch it back. I know 2020 is maybe far away, but I still remember a little bit how this loom worked, and I can maybe give you my impression on it. So I liked weaving with it. It was actually one of my first experience with a table loom, especially a table loom that I would warp myself. What I really liked about this loom is that all of the handles and the levers to lift the shafts were right in front of the loom, so I found it very straightforward. As opposed to this loom, the levers or the handles are on the right side, so I feel like we don't see them as much. Of course, they're color-coded and they have different shapes, but it's still not as straightforward as having them in front of us, and it's also a little bit more, I find, ergonomic to have them right in front than on the right side. So this would be a plus for the Voyageur loom, but there's another big plus for this loom, and also it is the same for the Dirty loom, and it is that they can be converted into a floor loom, which I don't believe it is possible with the Voyageur loom. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it is possible. So it's only with those looms, and I think that's actually a very big plus for them, if ever that's something you're looking for. If you're not looking forward to transform your loom into a floor loom, then maybe that wouldn't be relevant to you. So my final answer to the question which Leclerc loom is the best loom is, well, it depends of your needs. So I'm sorry, I couldn't be more precise. So this is it for today's video. Now I've showed you pretty much everything that there is to know about this loom. If there is anything that you feel like I didn't show for long enough, or you didn't quite understand what it was, and you would like to learn more about it, just let me know in the comments down below, and I would be happy to do another video on the subject. Just note that I'm not super quick, so it might take a year, but I am a woman of her word, and I will eventually you just have to be patient. So thank you all for being here with me today, and I hope to see you in a few weeks to learn more about this scarf. See you soon. Bye bye.